we're going to talk about Book of Atlanta, but the same rules are going to apply as I talked about with Book of Murder. I am just going to be reusing old clips, so not to spoil anything from this quote-unquote movie. Yeah, this is where things get a little weird, is that Book of Atlanta is more or less a movie and not like a season. But I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and then possibly I'm going to work on another video tonight, but that won't be posted up until tomorrow. Tomorrow's video is basically me talking about the series in its entirety, on things that I liked or things that I didn't agree upon. And there's going to be a lot of spoilers, but I'm going to assume that a lot of my viewers have already seen Black Butler. I'm assuming a lot of you already know the series. And before we get too far down the road, I am going to make a request that if any of my viewers out there know if there's another season coming out after Book of Atlanta, to please let me know. Put it down in the comment section so that I'm aware of this, because I'm so sucked into this anime. I absolutely adore it. So let's get started. The premonition of Book of Atlanta starts off with Ciel and Sebastian talking to Lau. And Lau is basically telling Ciel that there's some suspicious activity going on in this area that he owns, or supposedly owns, one of the harbors. And this was prompted not by the queen. This was prompted by Lau. So that to me was very interesting. So basically, it's kind of like Dawn of the Dead almost, but think Dawn of the Dead mixed with Titanic. Yeah, it's going to be one of those. I don't want to go too much into detail, but I will tell you, we do get to see a lot of interesting backstories. So we get to see a little bit about Elizabeth, and guess who is now part of the Phantom Hive family? Snake. I have not gotten a chance to talk about Snake, and I actually am going to talk a little bit about him because he is in this film. I absolutely adore Snake. I think he is one of the sweetest characters, and he has a very interesting gift. He can talk to his snakes, but the snakes can talk through him. So basically, each one of his snakes has a different name and a different voice. And you know when it's one of his snakes talking, because the snake will say the sentence, and then he'll says so-and-so. So it's a really cute and interesting little thing. And he, just like a snake, he's very quiet, and he moves very slow and kind of gracefully. But in Book of Atlanta, everyone's there. You've got Sebastian, you've got Ciel, surprisingly, Donald, not Donald, Ronald. I am so sorry to mispronunciate his name, but I have not seen Ronald in a lot throughout the series, so I really didn't get to know his character, but he's on there. So I thought, oh, this is going to get interesting, because one of my friends had told me that he works with Growl and Williams. So I'm like, well, if he's there, that means that one of those two can't be too far behind. And yes, I'm going to admit, they had Growl in this one, and it was one of his better moments. He really shined in this one. I'm not saying he didn't shine in Book of Circus, because he didn't get enough screen time, but in this one, my God, did he shine. Daniel Frederick. Good job, Daniel. Oh, love you, baby. You do great work. But I don't want to spoil too much of how the zombie breakout happens and what got it started, but they do make a lot of like Titanic references. one is that the ship does get hit by an iceberg and, all this and that. And it's interesting because the ship is not even remotely the same as Titanic. It's got 3 spouts instead of 4. And from what me and my ex-husband noticed, well, he noticed it more than I did, is that this ship sailed after Titanic. Titanic sailed in 1912, and I believe he said this ship in this time zone was 1918. I could be wrong. But basically, that's pretty much the whole thing. It's pretty much they're on the ship. This breakout of zombies happens. They're trying to get away. The ship winds up sinking. And, hold on 1 minute. And what winds up happening is the Undertaker is there as well. Now, the Undertaker took me by surprise because I'm not gonna lie. I've loved the Undertaker. I thought he was an interesting character because he always wanted for somebody to tell him a joke, to get him to laugh, because it was the one thing he enjoyed. Otherwise, he wouldn't give out any information. And what's interesting, in this one, he really did take me by surprise because the Undertaker in this particular film plays a massive role. And it was kind of, to me, it was kind of upsetting because he just showed a side of him that none of us would have ever even guessed. And he even turned on Growl, which I found was very interesting. And another thing, I'm sorry, but continuity is important. And when Growl saw the Undertaker, he was acting like he had never seen him before. He was talking like he didn't even know who the Undertaker was. And I'm thinking, you know who he is. You've seen him before. You've seen his eyes. You know who he is. And it's really kind of upsetting. And I'm not going to say what scene it was, guys, but there is a scene where we flash back and we get to see the relationship of Sebastian and Ciel kind of start growing after Ciel was going to his manor after Sebastian and him formed this contract. And what's interesting is there's one scene where Sebastian gets aggressive with him, literally grabs him by the face. And it was the first time that I had actually seen him be aggressive. But of course, this is the first time they've been together before they had a, mutual understanding of each other and understanding how both roles work. It was understanding, but it was still kind of hard to watch. It was interesting. And I'm just going to say the graphics and the art style in this one is really good. They use different art styles during different things. They did a little tease where at first I thought they were going to show Sebastian's true form. And I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like, yes, yes, and they didn't do it. And I was like, oh, man, that was so close. But Book of Atlanta is definitely different. I like that they made it a movie, and they didn't make it like the actual series, but I'm pretty sure it's going to follow into the series. I would be very surprised if it didn't, and they just ended the series there, which if they end the series right there, that's a disappointment because they kind of did leave it open on a cliffhanger. Well, I wouldn't say not necessarily maybe a cliffhanger, more or less your questioning is, are they getting home? But that's basically it. I mean, there's not much I can say about Book of Atlanta. It's one of those films where you have to see it yourself if you haven't seen it already. You definitely need to watch Book of Circus. You need to watch Book of Murder and then Book of Atlanta. And then you'll kind of get where everything's going. But it, like I said, it's just one of those where you think you're going to get a lot of questions answered, and there's actually more questions than answers. It really, I thought it was going to answer a lot of questions for us. As I said, there's more that I'm going to talk about after I'm done editing this video. And I'm sorry, I'm a little tired today. So I'm going to leave it off there. And as always, this is Jahia Moondragon. And as always, I will see you in the next anime. Bye-bye.